Hello, how you guys doing? James here. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, it's kind of right now. It's kind of gloomy and rainy out over here in Ohio and the Midwest. Um, I want to share something in this video that's very important. Um, this occurred to me as I was making some of these videos on social. Been making a lot of social problems, and so here's the solution. And this is to my fellow Black Americans and the ones who got the brains, the ones who have the intelligence, the ones who have the gift to go to one day. If things don't work out in the United States, there's places you should go, and there's places you should rethink about going. And if you decide to stay in the United States, be careful where you live, because what I'm about to show you by my fellow content creators here, it's going to be an eye opener. It's going to be kind of a little bit of a long video. Bear with me, but it's just to give the solution to if we don't have value here, maybe you might find somebody in some country might find you value, not by your skin, not by but by your personality, by your person. Beware of the jealous people in any nation, any country. But here we go.
A growing number of African Americans say they are considering leaving the United States and relocating to Africa.
Many African Americans are making a different choice. Ditching the American dream, they are returning to Africa.
Imagine packing your bags, saying goodbye to Starbucks pumpkin spice lattes, and trading them for fresh mangoes straight off the tree in Ghana. Sounds crazy? Well, tell that to the thousands of African Americans who are making the jump every single year. This isn't some random vacation trend. This is a full-on migration wave, one that the mainstream media whispers about but rarely explains. And today, we're breaking it all down. So buckle up, because what you're about to hear will make you question not only America's Land of Opportunity slogan, but maybe even your own ZIP code. Let's be real. Being black in America comes with an invisible tax. Not the IRS kind, the stress kind.
Farming takes grit and persistence. Too
Stupid
often,
commercial.
IRS kind, the stress kind. Every sideways glance from a store clerk, every random traffic stop, every job interview where your name mysteriously doesn't get a callback. It adds up. Generation after generation, that pressure cooker explodes into mental fatigue. And for some, the math is simple. Why stay where the system is stacked against you when you can build a life where your skin isn't an automatic red flag? Leaving isn't always defeat. It's survival, it's self-preservation, and honestly, it's hope in motion. But here's the kicker. It's not just about escaping America. It's about returning to something bigger. Think about this. For centuries, African Americans were cut off from their family trees. Whole branches just gone. Languages silenced. Names erased. Fast forward to the 21st century, and suddenly, DNA tests are basically spitting out ancestral Google Maps directions. Your roots are waiting for you in Sierra Leone. Recalculate route. That's why events like Ghana's Year of Return in 2019 weren't just tourism campaigns. They were spiritual reunions. Over 1 million people showed up, and for many, standing at the door of no return, flipped the script. It became the door of return. And that's not poetic fluff. That's a historic full-circle moment you can feel in your bones. Alright, so identity plays a massive role. But let's be honest. Good vibes don't pay rent. Here's a fun stat. Africa has some of the fastest growing economies on the planet. Lagos, Nairobi, Kigali, Accra. They're not just city names, they're startup playgrounds. Tech, fashion, music, finance, industries are exploding, and investors are circling like hawks. For African Americans tired of glass ceilings and corporate gatekeepers, Africa feels like an open field. Want to launch a business? Costs are lower, markets are hungry, and governments are actually offering incentives to returnees. $1 stretches further too, sometimes shockingly further. Retirement savings that barely cover rent in Atlanta can buy you land and build you a home in Accra. That's not relocation, that's an upgrade. But hold on, because it's not just about chasing dollars. What if I told you, moving to Africa can also buy you something money can't? Belonging. And no, I don't mean the fake corporate kind where HR hands out pizza parties and calls it family. I mean real belonging. The kind where walking down the street doesn't make you feel like a suspect in your own neighborhood. Ask anyone who's made the move, and they'll tell you the smallest things hit the hardest, like being greeted in the market as if you're part of the community, or being invited to a family meal without anyone asking, "So, what do you do for a living?" For people who spent decades being the only one in classrooms, offices, or boardrooms, this sudden shift isn't just refreshing, it's revolutionary. It's like taking off a weighted vest you didn't even realize you were wearing. And let's not pretend this is just kumbaya and hugs. There's actual healing involved. Generations of African Americans have carried the residue of theft, of language, culture, lineage, and then suddenly you're standing in a village, hearing a rhythm that sounds eerily like your grandmother's humming, or tasting food that feels weirdly familiar. It's like your DNA exhales and says, "Finally, we're home." Now, of course, identity and belonging are powerful motivators. But let's get practical. One of the biggest draws, cost of living. The math is ridiculous. A cramped apartment in Brooklyn might set you back $3,000 a month. That same money in Dakar or Kigali, you're looking at a 3-bedroom home, maybe even with a garden, a helper, and still enough left over to sip coconuts by the beach. And that's not exaggeration. That's exchange rates working overtime. Even basics hit differently. Food isn't trucked across 3 states and triple priced for being labeled organic. It's just food. Fresh, local, affordable. Healthcare. Sure, it varies by city, but in many urban centers, private care costs a fraction of what you'd pay in the US, without having to sell your kidney just to pay the deductible. And don't even get me started on commutes. Instead of sitting in traffic on the I-45 for 2 hours, you're 10 minutes from your office. Or better yet, running your own business in the same building you live in. Of course, it's not all sunshine and Wi-Fi. Power outages can happen. Bureaucracy can feel like a sport. You might need to juggle between solar panels and generators. But here's the twist. Many people actually see those challenges as opportunities. Diaspora returnees are launching solar companies, local delivery apps, and even private schools. They're turning gaps into businesses, and businesses into legacies, and governments are catching on fast. Countries like Ghana, Rwanda, and Senegal are literally rolling out the welcome mats. Streamlined visas, land grants, tax holidays. Some governments are practically begging returnees to come back, not out of pity, but because it makes economic sense. You bring skills, money, and global networks. They bring land, opportunity, and a society that actually values your presence. That's not just policy, it's strategy. But let's zoom out a bit. This isn't just about individuals finding cheaper rent or cultural vibes. This is part of a bigger picture, a Pan-African renewal. For centuries, Africa's narrative was dominated by the story of loss of people, of labor, of culture. Now the return of the diaspora flips the script. It's not just a homecoming, it's an economic and cultural comeback. Imagine a brain drain, working in reverse. Engineers, doctors, creatives, entrepreneurs, all flowing back in. That's not just migration, that's momentum. And here's the wildest part. For some, it's not even about going back. It's about building something entirely new. A hybrid identity, African roots with American hustle. Diaspora returnees often become cultural bridges, linking markets, exporting music, creating fusion cuisine, and setting up companies that connect both continents. Suddenly, the move isn't just personal, it's geopolitical. It's about reshaping the future balance of power between America and Africa. Now you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but isn't it just for rich people with options? And that's fair. But the reality? Many of those moving aren't millionaires. They're regular folks. Teachers, retirees, young professionals, people tired of paying $20 for a salad and $3,000 for rent. And when they realize their pension or modest savings can buy them a comfortable life, not just survival, the decision becomes less crazy and more common sense. So, if belonging, opportunity, and cost of living weren't enough, what's left? Oh, trust me, the story gets even better. So, if belonging, opportunity, and cost of living weren't enough, what's left? Here's the part nobody really talks about. Retirement. Yeah, that word usually conjures images of Florida golf courses and early bird dinner specials. But for a growing number of African Americans, retirement in Africa looks a whole lot different. Picture this: warm mornings, fruit bought fresh from the market, a stroll to a seaside cafe, and evenings filled with music drifting from a local festival. Compare that to the grey cubicle of an American retirement home, where excitement means bingo night, and the highlight of the week is your doctor adjusting your cholesterol meds. Which one sounds more like living? The truth is, pensions and retirement savings that can barely stretch in the US suddenly become golden tickets overseas. A modern...
Let me start right here. Yeah, and that's like a good idea because why not? I mean, as far as health wise, and they always throw this medication at you, making the supremacy of telling black people that black people are suffering from this, from high blood pressure, and I mean, even though some of it's true, but why, all these symptoms they put extinguish apart, and even though that they study the human body, they make it about race, and even though that really it could be in a person's genetic, but America makes everything about race, even in medical. That's why it's like, well, black Americans are likely to get this disease higher than this disease. A disease or anything else, it's the same. If you equal amount in the internal body, everybody going. It depends on your lifestyle, where you live at. You can't label a whole group of people and say that all these groups of people are gonna get this and that's it. It's crazy. And so they purposely have this medication, like the guy said, and it's like they make everything out of a race. So it's not out of human, it's everything's a race. They're not trying to solve a problem. They're trying to, distinguish the people by alerting the people that I wonder, why are you making it about race when it should be about health? But it's not. But some people in the medical community, and I think it's brought on white supremacy when it comes to the medical community. That's why they make things about race and not about logic and not about sense. It's like poor, whether you Native American, poor white, or Latino or black. If you're not eating right and your diet's not right, it's gonna come out the same. It's not, and it depends on the genetics in the family. These families, all the races, all the different human races is family, all the different groups of people. But this is what they do. But yeah, they just divide us up, and that's it. No matter how many white people get this, this disease. It could be black. It could be, you can get colon cancer, prostate cancer, liver cancer. It doesn't matter what you do. But America makes everything about race. And not that they try to solve the problem, then they try to give you certain medication based on your race. Like there's certain things that they subscribe to black people that they don't give to white people. Yeah, and other groups of people. But they know about, that's why I said some black people feel like they don't give a darn about black people's health. That's why they say that. They won't learn it. It's like secretly, it's you start to wonder, is it why you're not trying to address it? You're not trying to preserve the people. So why are you making it about race when it's really about human health? And it's about human poverty in America. It is. It's about where you live, where you in the rural area, in the city area. If you don't have healthy food, and people don't eat healthy, and they smoking or they drinking, no matter what group of people is, and if they dying healthy, they're gonna get these things. It's the truth. But they make it about they want to make it about race in America. They do. It's not it's about genetics and probably where you live at. It's a poverty issue. But America like to make it a race issue. Then they claim like and sometimes I really kind of suspect that if it's all about the race, it would be a solution how to preserve people to take better care of themselves as a race. But you don't care nothing about that race. And you know certain medications that would affect different groups of people. That's the truth. They do that. But anyway, I just want to, that's why people say, why America make everything about race? And to the people that's a good question, because I don't know if it's systematically they want to do it. They want to dump it on these people and say they're black people because they're the majority of you see on TV and low written crime area, whatever. So it's like, and they put they allow the people bringing these little people that got these stores, and they know the food ain't balanced. But as soon as these other group of people move in, then all of a sudden it seems like they want to upgrade the schools, upgrade the environment of what black people live in. But they don't give a shit. They don't care. And it's the truth.
Harry's part-time MBA program gave me the flexibility to manage my full-time job and my personal life.
In a sensational interview making headlines on social media, renowned filmmaker Spike Lee and his wife Tonya Lewis Lee heavily encouraged Black Americans to consider returning to Africa to enjoy free citizenship packages being offered by countries like Benin. In the interview with friends in New York on the sidelines of the just ended UN General Assembly, Lee clarified why he was so passionate about marketing Africa to the diaspora, revealing that the theme of returning to Africa has long been on the hearts of Black America throughout history.
Trip back to the motherland. That's why I'm wearing this hat today, because in the year 1619, when our ancestors were stolen from Mother Africa and brought to the United States of America. So there's always been a history of the reconnection. Go back to Marcus Garvey, who his thing was, let's go back to Africa, or the motherland. So this is something that is not new. And I'm just glad to be a part of it. In fact, the last scene we shot in Malcolm X was in South Africa, Soweto, with Nelson Mandela. So I've been there several times, and when this offer came up, I was amazed, and I'm looking forward. Actually, I haven't been to Benin yet, so I'm going to gotta figure it out when we're going. But it's going to be it's before the end of the year, right?
Right, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Indeed, Spike Lee's comments strike at a deep historical truth. The idea of Black Americans reconnecting with Africa has long been championed by leaders such as Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, W.E.B. Du Bois, Martin Luther King Jr., Maya Angelou, and even more recently by figures like Danny Glover and Stevie Wonder in the aftermath of the slave trade. The transatlantic slave trade violently uprooted millions of Africans, scattering them across the Americas and Europe in one of history's greatest injustices, leaving behind deep wounds of displacement, cultural erasure, and generational trauma. Its legacy continues to shape global racial inequalities, with many descendants of enslaved Africans feeling severed from their ancestral homelands. In response, some African nations such as Ghana and Sierra Leone have begun offering free or fast-tracked citizenship to Black Americans and the wider African diaspora, framing it as both a symbolic homecoming and a tangible way to reconnect with lost heritage. These initiatives are not only acts of historical redress, but also an invitation to rebuild cultural and economic ties between Africa and its global descendants. Therefore, many Black American leaders recognized that in the face of persistent racial tensions and systemic inequality in the US, Africa represented not just an ancestral home, but also a potential place of dignity and renewal. Yet, despite the emotional pull of this vision,
let's talk about something we all...
Okay, and I can understand why, because like, and one thing about it, you don't have to be walked and be nervous, and for the people who are like the Karens and Kens of the world, you don't have to form your white towns, whatever, and whatever other insecurity you have started with Black people. So it's like Black people said, okay, we're going to go and do our own thing. And you don't have to be all racially like that. And some of the smart Black people getting up out of here. And that's because mentally, like any group of people, that wears you down after a while. And really, the people who's doing it the most is the people that can't adjust their reality that God put other human beings on the planet. Not to be subjugated and be harassed all the doggone time and feel insecurity and have the mentality, well, I got to be over you and watch over you like your ancestor, like it's almost like their ancestor did. The martyrdom, what you doing, why you here for? I mean, the obsession is unfreaking believable. It's like, leave people alone, but they can't just the reality that someone of color is at a different place in life than they do. What is so more important? And you have seen videos where some of these people are so obsessed with Black people. And it's like, okay, if Black people disturb your mentality that much, some are willing to get away from the people that make you. It shouldn't even when they're far away, they can't stop talking about Black people. They can live in an all-white town in Europe, in a village in Europe, America. They'll still be obsessed with talking about us. I mean, seriously. It's like, wow, it's like you have something deeply rooted in you when it comes to a different race of human being on the planet. I never could figure that out why. It's like, dang, okay, you obviously, they're not, if you felt that way, then why do you keep bringing up the people that way? They're not affecting your livelihood, and do it for your mental status. If a person of melanated on their skin bothers you, that as a whatever race of person you is, you don't have to be around them. You don't have to associate with them. But but these same people will be so obsessed, ladies and gentlemen. It's the truth. And like we don't do, as in Black people, most Black people don't do nothing to other people. They become the victim of wherever they go. In some cases, they ain't the ones choose to do the crime, but the crime is done unto them. And the ones that don't commit the crime, the ones that be doing and minding their own business and doing their own thing.
We eventually found Haitians in Springfield, Ohio that would talk to us about the situation in this city.
Winfield.
Okay. So
Aquí no bulto. Aquí no haitiano no come gato, no come perro.
Oh, he said Haitians here in Springfield ain't no eat no cat.
Yeah, el báquelo aquí, él vive el cerca tranquilo.
We live in the
Ese
hood here chilling.
haitiano no
Haitian.
molesta a nadie.
Haitian no bother nobody.
El presidente Donald Trump dice haitiano come gato, come perro.
The President Donald Trump said Haitians out here eating cats, eating dogs.
Por favor,
Please,
presidente
President.
Trump, respeto para la
Respect
haitiana,
the Haitian
pero
people.
nosotros ese inmigrante
We're
aquí
immigrants out here. We ain't
no
doing that.
molesta a nadie.
We ain't bothering nobody.
El puro fuiste a para trabajar.
We came out here to work. My presence here is causing quite the havoc in the shopping plaza. You know, they leave this police car facing the front of the Haitian store. That's the Haitian store right there, right? Look what time it is. These people are just now getting out of work. When have you seen a community? It's 7:30 at night. People are just now getting home from work. These people are working 12, 13, 14 hours. These people ain't got a break. Look what time of night it is, and these people are still out here. They're just now getting out of work and getting their groceries, getting something to eat. How are you guys doing? Good. So you guys are hanging out in front of a Haitian restaurant in Springfield, Ohio.
Yeah.
Your little town is the epicenter of America right now. And obviously there's two sides to this. Tell me a little bit about yourselves. Where are you guys originally from?
I'm originally from here, but I lived in Texas for 8 years,
Okay.
and then I moved back here.
Cool. You, sir?
From Columbus, Ohio, and I used to live there 8 years ago.
Cool. You guys are not on the streets right now. You're just kind of struggling a little bit, but
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about your interactions here. You're hanging out in front of this beautiful Haitian restaurant called Rose. Have you guys tried Haitian food already?
Yeah. And the manager, Miss Rose, likes to help us out whenever we need it.
Wow. So the narrative out there is that Haitians are hurting Americans.
No, they help us a lot more than most people do.
Yeah.
And this is the sad who still do not see the fraudulent behavior. They still don't understand it.
So
Because
many fans still, and so
I'm sorry. Dang, hold on. So, yeah, shout out to Southern Life Channel for that. I didn't catch the beginning of that video. I have to probably go back and do that video. Yeah, that's just the Haitians. That really it was some negative thing.
Have you ever wondered what it feels like to walk into a place where your very presence is met with nothing other than overwhelming hostility all around? In an increasingly interconnected world, while many countries celebrate diversity and champion inclusivity, the notion of belonging and acceptance transcends borders, yet the stark reality remains that not all nations extend a warm welcome to Black communities. The experiences of Black people vary dramatically across the globe, shaped by historical legacies, cultural attitudes, and socio-political climates. Certain destinations can actually pose unexpected challenges for Black travelers, from cultural biases and racial profiling to safety concerns. The unpleasant truth is, there are places where Black people may not feel entirely welcome. Join us on this eye-opening journey as we uncover the realities faced by Black people in places where acceptance is not guaranteed and where the color of one's skin can dictate not just acceptance, but survival. Before we begin, however, do not forget to support our efforts by hitting that like button before you. Share with your family and friends to keep spreading our eye-opening Black narrative, and kindly subscribe to stay tuned in for more informative updates while you keep the channel growing as well. Now follow us. Let us show you what these countries are for a brief moment. Number 1, Germany. Racism in Germany encompasses both historical and contemporary forms of racial discrimination and prejudice. This includes the colonial-era genocide of the Herero and Nama people, state-sanctioned racism in Nazi Germany that culminated in the Holocaust, and ongoing issues in post-reunification Germany. During the Nazi era, policies such as the Nuremberg Laws codified racial hierarchies and led to the persecution of Jews, Roma, and other groups deemed inferior. After World War II and German reunification, There have been instances of racist street violence and reports of systemic discrimination against immigrants and ethnic minorities, and international human rights organizations have documented evidence of institutional underrepresentation, marginalization, and racial profiling. Germany has also faced accusations of anti-Palestinian racism, including allegations of censorship, police violence, and the conflation of anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. The Bundestag's labeling of the BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanctions, movement as anti-Semitic, along with allegations by academics and artists of a witch hunt against pro-Palestinian activists, has sparked controversy. According to the German newspaper Die Zeit, more than 130 people were killed in racist street violence in Germany in the years between 1990 and 2010. In particular, after German reunification in the 1990s, a wave of racist street violence claimed numerous lives, with notable incidents including the arson attack in Mölln and the riot of Rostock-Lichtenhagen in 1992, the Solingen arson attack of 1993, and the attack on Noel Martin in 1996. In 2006, a black German citizen of Ethiopian descent, named as Ermias M., an engineer, was beaten into a coma by two unknown assailants who called him Nick in an unprovoked attack that has reawakened concern about racist violence in Eastern Germany. According to report, Ermias was waiting for a tram in Potsdam near Berlin when two people approached him shouting, "Nick." When he objected, they attacked him with a bottle and beat him to the ground. In August 2007, a mob consisting of about 50 Germans attacked 8 Indian street vendors during a town festival in the town of Mügeln near Leipzig. The victims found shelter in a pizzeria owned by Kulveer Singh, one of those being chased. But the mob broke through the doors and destroyed Singh's car. All 8 were injured, and it took 70 police to quell the violence. Also, former government spokesman Uwe Karsten Haye said in a 2006 radio interview that dark-skinned visitors to Germany should consider avoiding the eastern part of the country where racism runs high.
There are small and medium-sized towns in Brandenburg, as well as elsewhere, which I would advise a visitor of another skin colour to avoid going to. They might not make it out alive if they dared set foot in certain towns.
Africans and other dark-skinned people in Berlin, Wisner and other cities know certain areas in the eastern part of Berlin, such as Marzahn and Hellersdorf, are no-go areas where they are certain to be attacked or killed. It is also reported that German police routinely ignore these racist attacks.
Just like America.
Germans in general are in denial about the depth of racism in their society. On a general note, more than 60% of black people and Muslims have experienced discrimination, according to a new study by the National Discrimination and Racism Monitor. A recent case is that of Fatma, who works as a nursery school teacher in Berlin. She said racism begins first thing in the morning on her way to work.
The other drivers give me a look.
She said she dresses in stylish clothing and wears a headscarf.
The instructor in my nursery teacher training program once said to me that she thinks the headscarf is unhygienic.
Fatma said she graduated from her training course with very good grades, and yet it still wasn't easy for her to get a job. What's more, nursery school teachers are urgently needed in the capital, Berlin, and throughout Germany. But she feels that because she wears a headscarf, she is at a disadvantage.
It really upsets me,
she said. Hannah, who also lives in Berlin, said,
I don't dare go into certain neighborhoods.
She's regularly targeted by stupid comments, as she puts it, whenever she takes the subway with her kids because of her children and her dark hair.
People say I should go back to my country.
Now, if you're black and you're considering visiting or relocating to Germany, then it's best you brace yourself up against certain racist behaviors. Number 2, Russia. Russia is another country to be mindful of if you are black. With its rich cultural heritage and vast landscapes, Russia may seem like an alluring destination. However, for black travelers, the experience can be far less pleasant. Despite cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg becoming more cosmopolitan, the country still grapples with racism, particularly in smaller towns. Though the Black Lives Matter, BLM, protests have not swept across Russia the way they have elsewhere. but people of color living there have given reports about the casual discrimination they experience on a daily basis. There are estimated to be tens of thousands of people of color living in Russia, including Russian-born people with mixed heritage and people from African and Caribbean countries who are working or studying in Russia. Here are some of their stories. Roy Ibonga, a 21-year-old economics student, recently posted a video of a taxi driver refusing to take a black man in his cab, and this made waves on the internet in Russia. In his video published on social media, the driver can be heard saying,
"If I don't like a person, I won't give them a ride. It's my car."
When Roy asks him bluntly,
"Are you a racist?"
the driver replies,
"Yes, of course."
Later, the Yandex taxi company, the Russian equivalent of Uber, apologized to Roy. "Thank you for finding a way to tell us about this intolerable behavior. I'm very sorry that it happened to you," wrote a customer service rep. According to news reports, the driver was dismissed the same day. The company said, "Rude or racist drivers have no place at Yandex Taxi." Roy wrote about the incident on Instagram. Some people expressed support, but others wrote racist insults. Later, Roy closed his account. Some social media users criticized Yandex for firing the taxi driver and even called for a boycott. Also, black visitors will have to be extra careful when they venture outside of Moscow into the rest of Russia. In a chilling warning, the Russia expert of New Republic, Julie Ayoff, said,
"There's quite a bit of violence against people considered to be black in Russia, raising new fears about the safety of Olympic athletes, visitors, and media attending the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi."
Ayoff warned that nowhere in Russia is safe for a person of color to visit outside of Moscow's city center. During an Ask Me Anything discussion on the social media site Reddit, Ayoff was asked by a black college student whether it is safe for an African American to study in Russia. But here's her answer.
That's a tough one. I think that for the most part you'd be okay if you consider people glaring at you and cracking racist jokes okay. There's quite a bit of violence against people considered to be black, which includes, in the Russian mind, people from Central Asia and the Caucasus. My advice is go, but stick to the city center and try to go to a bigger city like Moscow. Be extra careful and make sure the American embassy knows you're there. They have a special unit to deal with threats to American citizens, so you should report anything that happens immediately.
In addition to racism cases in Russia, is that of Francine Villa, who thought she had found refuge in Russia, but was wrong. As a black woman disillusioned with American racism and police violence, she moved to Russia in 2019 and began building a life she believed would be safer, freer, and more humane. She became a Russian citizen and gave birth there. She even starred in an RT documentary called Black in the USSR, praising Russia for offering the kind of racial peace she never found in the United States. Then reality hit. In July 2025, her neighbors beat her in her own Moscow apartment block. They called her racial slurs, blocked her entry, and punched her in the face. Her 2-year-old child witnessed it all. And when she went to the police, they did what Russian police do best when it comes to racist violence. Absolutely nothing. Francine soon realized that she had walked not into a sanctuary, but a pressure cooker. She believed in the lie that if racism is so loud in the US, maybe it's quiet somewhere else. But she was wrong. In Russia, racism isn't quiet. It's just unspoken. Or worse, it's normalized. In Russia, prejudice isn't seen as a problem. It's seen as common sense. The N-word gets dropped like it's nothing. It's in jokes, cartoons, schools, state media. People say it casually in front of children, say it about children. It's not rare. It's an inescapable part of the culture. The only difference between the US and Russia is that in Russia, no one even pretends to care. There are no diversity statements, no public reckonings, no shallow corporate DEI committees, just raw, untreated contempt. And if you speak up, you're too sensitive. If you get attacked, it's just a misunderstanding. If your neighbors beat you and scream slurs, well, maybe you provoked it. Francine's story only made news because of the irony. The woman who praised Russia for its racial harmony gets assaulted in her own stairwell. How ridiculous. Another case is that of Francois Angelasili, a 32-year-old doctoral student from Gabon at Ural Federal University in Yekaterinburg.
At Myers Airport Subaru, we've been family-owned since 1897.
built on trust and transparency.
I'm gonna go ahead and shut this video down, but before I leave, I got the people of the world, anybody that gets around to the world, I got a message for you. So you got a problem with skin color, right? You got a problem with people on the planet that got skin color, right? Okay, do you know what burnt brass is? You know, I would ask these people. What is burnt brass? And we gotta keep showing it to you, ladies and gentlemen. So you got something against color, right? Here's burnt brass right here. This what burnt brass look like when it gets dark. Here's brass. Look at the bowls. It's burnt brass, right? I got a message. It says Germany, Russia, if this ever get over to them, and the people over there, listen to this, because somebody forgot to tell you. Revelation 1, his hair, his head, his hair were white like wool, his white as snow, his eyes were flame of fire, and his feet into the fine brass, as if they were burnt in the furnace. Now, when you put brass in the furnace, don't it turn dark? Don't it turn dark? Limitation. Our skin was black like an oven. Who were? No, because see, you got to get this to them. Isaiah 26:10. Precede must be upon precede, line upon line. Read this in your word. So you got something against people of skin color, right? But you must got something against the one that's going to come back into the earth. It's going to speak every language that's in the land. I got a message for you. Some of these people that have done this have gone to hell. And like all the nations, you'll go to hell too. Daniel 7:9, Revelation 1:14. Look it up. That's like wool. I pray that this get to it. This is brass, y'all. This is brass. This what brass look like. It's a really dark color. So you got something to get. You got to get something of someone's skin color being dark, right? You don't like the people because they got burnt brass on them. But you can't like them, so you must don't love the Messiah that came in. You must don't love the Messiah that's going to one day come into the earth, because that's the revelation of the one that's coming. I know they don't like to talk about this in the Orthodox Church and Christianity and these other churches. They don't even want to talk about this in Judaism. They don't want to talk about this in Islam and none of these other religions. But burnt brass, when you burn the brass, it's dark. The Messiah, who is the resurrection, that all will be lifted up in the day of judgment, is coming. That's revelation. That's not a figure. It's not a figure of imagination. It's not a figure of speech. It's revelation. So you can't love your brother who's on the earth, who fits these colors. Who can you love? The one who give you life and who put you in your mother's womb. If you can't love the people on the planet, what does that say about you? And see, when the day that you come, whoever the individual are, whether you're a man or woman, whatever language you speak, every nation is going to have to bow and see that. They're going to have to judge and say, oh my goodness. Because it's going to say, remember when those people try to tell you, you didn't want to listen. Here's the old painting of it. This one they try to erase it out of history. These are the brass people. These are the brass people right here. These are the brass people. Look at this. They had a painting back then. The writers back then. These are the brass. The people had hair like wool, white like wool. Who has woolly hair? Who has woolly hair? Whose hair turns into wool? Turns into a wool when you touch a sheep or whatever, and you touch a person with my hair and touch a sheep, and if it grows into an afro, it will feel like it's like the wool of a sheep. My hair would. But you got a problem with color, right? You got a problem with color. I said, you got a problem with color. Some of you out there got problems. I'm talking to all the nations. You got this problem with color. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. And even though they show you the image, they telling you what the resurrection gonna come back. But you got all this time to be prejudiced. You got all this time to be racist to people who are darker hue. But they're telling you. And when earth moans and it comes into the sea, where are you gonna be? Where are you gonna be with your racists behind? Because you couldn't stand another group of people because they had darker hue on their skin. Woo! Revelation, burnt brass is not a standard term, but the book of Revelation describes burnt brass as a gleaming reddish brown, golden yellow, right? But we also know that what it looks like is the color best described as bright, polished bronze. Isn't there some people on the planet that's got colors bronze on their skin tone? The passage is Revelation 1:15. Burnt. When you burn something, don't it turn to black? Isn't it dark? Isn't it black like this? Isn't it dark like that? Is it black? And you take something that look like this, and you turn it into something that look like this. You got some, and this is brass. Pennies are brass. But you got a problem with skin color. You got a problem with the people that fits this description in the planet. And you're going to carry that same spirit into hell with you. I'm not talking to all, I'm talking about all the groups on the planet, whoever get this video. Just imagine when you have to stand before the revelation of this man. This one is coming. Oh, he's coming. And what you going to say? Is he for the black? Is he for the brown? Or he's for the white? What you going to say when he going to stand with his holy angels that look you in the face? You going to have that same energy? Huh? You going to say to have that same when you see these beings of light? With this being that's coming from the revelation? Or is your time? Why didn't you listen? You think it's a white heaven, an Asian heaven, a Russian heaven, a German heaven? That's just for you, right? You seriously think you're superior? You don't like somebody, and you're willing to die and go to Hades because you think you're preserving a skin color. If Yeshua had to show some of you in the spirit, where did the men who had the same mindset in women, where are they at right now in eternity? I pray that he show you. And say, this is where you want to go. You want to carry your white nationalism? You want to carry your prejudice and hatred and beat up people before the ethnic background? You will never, this is to you. I don't care if you're skin here, I don't care if you're clan, white nationalist, you will never, ever see the walks of heaven. And when you die, never to repent, you will never see heaven. You will be down there with all the rest of them. from the beginning of time, trying to wipe out people simply because they couldn't take another people on the planet. You're going straight to hell if you do not repent. You don't. Here's the thing about this: you don't know when your time is up on this planet. But when you do, when as soon as the last breath go out of your body, and you stand before that one, I wonder what you got to say then. I wonder when you had that same smoke in your spirit, in your soul, looking for a white nationalist heaven, or whatever, German heritage heaven, or Russian heritage heaven, or whatever nationalist heaven. I wonder what you're going to say to him. And what you're going to do when you stand before him and all the heavenly beings that's under his order. The one from Revelation 1 and 9. What's going to happen? That's the question. Why some of your family members choose not to be like that. They might be in the kingdom, but the ones who don't, you're destined for a place that your anger and your bitterness is going to carry you, and you're going to be tormented from the very things you have spread on the earth, the poison and unrighteousness you spread on the earth. And I don't care, you can try to dress it up in religion. You're going to hell if you don't change your heart. If this can get out to the world in different languages, it could get. Keep being nasty to other people because, and here's the dumb thing about some of you ignorant, backwards individuals. If God put them on the planet somewhere, they was here for a reason, not for you to torment and torture them and take over things and manipulate and control things. And you watch these Western nations like America, Germany, and these other ones, look what's going through them right now. And even if they did, look what happened. Any country that don't do right, they don't succeed. They're falling. There's some place, and we're going to fall too. Because if we carry it to unalive our fellow man on the planet because we do it out of kicking fun or whatever crazy demonic reason, even though you thought you'd get away, you didn't get by. Because what you do, one thing about the Most High One, is that he's going to catch you sooner or later. And whatever you do to somebody, it may not directly hit to you, but it directly hit to someone around you who you care about. Then later on, it'll eventually hit to you. This is the message. Hate don't solve nothing. And if you carry that hate all the way to your grave, you would never endure eternity. You'll be down in Hades for eternity. Imagine living all your life in this human body, flesh and blood. You spread all that hatred. You had time to turn your heart to see that and use common sense that this is not right. You're poisoned by the enemy, the devil. You were up in his operation, you don't even know it. He don't care about you. He don't care about anybody to have that mindset. You can be black and he don't care about you. And you will be down there with him and his demons, with the hatred. Because that hatred is going to carry you right into the belly and out of the presence of glory. So, it's a warning. You in the last days, you don't know when your last breath could be on earth. So, to the ones who have that in their spirit, that disdain for other people, I suggest you work on yourself. Because you never know what your day going to be like. And the last thing you want to do is leave your earth disingenuous about another man, a race of man or woman on the planet. And your family can put you in the heavenly wings, but it's not. There's no man, no woman can put you heaven or hell. It's the one. It's in the revelation. No matter how much. Well, he was a good person. He did some good things, yeah. But how did he live? How did he and she live? How did she treat people? That's what Christ is going to judge you. He made the people for a reason. And he's trying to reach to every people on the planet for a reason. Because the earth is mourning. You can see it around you, but you choose to close your heart. Sad, sad. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. Be blessed is on the video. But to my black Americans, you know, when you get, if God gives you a revelation and he opens up your bank account, don't tell nobody, even someone that look like you. Get your passport. If you feel led to go, go. Because you're able to go. Don't worry about some of your family members. Because if they want to be in a mental bondage, it's nothing you can do. So if you got the brains, the skills, the talent, go. So you can be relieved of the negativity on your mind. Keep your mind solid. Take care. Be blessed. See you on the next video.